Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Setu. I am the Microsoft AI MVP. And this morning, I just want to kind of introduce a pretty cool topic that I absolutely love, which is going to be serverless on Azure. That's typically done using Azure functions. As we kind of talk about this, right, I use this as part of my day-to-day job where I work, which is at Property Guru, where I lead a team of data scientists and data analysts as well. So in some of these things, we try to kind of not think about our application infrastructure, and we want to focus more on delivering value to the business. And this is where serverless plays a big role. And on Azure, it's given by Azure Functions. So all you have to kind of think about is, just think about your code, what you want to do with that. And you don't really have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. There's no way you can under provision or over provision it because that's being taken care of by Azure. So our key thing is just deliver the code and we use that. For us at Property Guru, we use a lot of these things in serving AI-based applications, which are also something that we use on a production grade level. So I'll kind of talk to you briefly about how we kind of used image recognition, classification as one of the ways in there. So what you see on the screen is one of the early website. If you go through, the agents on our portal essentially talk about properties, and instead of properties, you see this lot of call out to actions, agent photograph, which are not very conducive to a consumer experience, and it really spoils them out. Since last year, we have kind of improved that. And now the photos are much cleaner. The focus and discussions is all about properties itself. And that's being served by the fact that on the background, we have a deep learning model that's being deployed on the infrastructure. So for us, serverless is key for any ML deployments. Typically, the throughputs that's been expected during a typical day is we have to look at about 10,000 images per second. And if we have to manage this throughout the day, it's going to be a fairly complex task. So instead, we let the serverless kind of scale up and down as the load goes. And this is very, very useful for us in processing all the images that come through. Now, with serverless, it of course comes with some of its limitations. So one of the limitations is the memory and CPUs that you get. So you have to make sure that your models are small enough that can run, and that's not going to be increasingly compute intensive. So we use this technique in machine learning called distillations to bring it down to smaller models. And that's how we kind of get it down to a serverless deployment. Although this comes at a longer cost where you are looking at higher latencies for your model productions. But as you kind of have a larger scale, in effect, it turns out to be a lower efficiency because you have a lot of these requests done individually through different machines, and you don't have to really think about how many machines are there, and you still have a decent consumer experience. Now with this, we have essentially lowered our cost almost 97%. Previously, you used to run this on the GPU machines, and now they are mainly run on serverless compute, which has reduced our cost significantly. So those costs can now be utilized to do something more production grade for our consumers. Now I'll walk you through a quick demo. Getting this idea of doing a computer vision applications down to a production, you can practically do it within a few minutes. There is a lot of wait time for the productions, for the code to get deployed, for the systems to come up. But end to end, if you look at it, you can practically get it done within a few minutes. So let's take a look at that, right? So in the first 2 minutes, we are just going to spend some time uploading some of these images and create a deep learning model, again, via Azure Custom Vision. So for this demo, we are going to make use of identification, whether the picture of an eagle is a bald eagle or a golden eagle. So I've created this project on Custom Vision, and let's kind of go through a quick demo. So I just set it up. I make sure I choose a compact model because this allows me to export that model. And my next step becomes that, hey, I'm going to start adding images. My first set of images are going to be bald eagle, Now I'm going to pick a bunch of them, select it, and let it upload, right? I tag it saying that, hey, this is bald eagle, which tells the machine that, hey, I'm uploading bald eagle photographs. And once it's loaded, I will upload more and more images for these systems to get recognized. Now, the next step, I'm going to kind of add golden eagle. Similar steps, tag it again with golden eagle, upload these files. And once these files are uploaded, you are good to go and set up a training model of that. And training on computer vision can happen on 2 levels. We are just going to do a very, very basic model. And you will see that not only the training is very fast, it gives you very highly accurate models without a lot of effort from your data scientist itself. Now the model is ready as we speak. And let's take a simple model in there where it was a bald eagle. Let's pick another one where we are going to see a golden eagle come through as well. Now you saw that, hey, it was so easy to kind of build up the model. I'm going to kind of export that model out, whatever was done by custom vision. And kind of then my next step is to kind of make sure that, I kind of just tweak the codes so so it can run on Azure Functions. To do that, now we are going to set up the code. Before we do that, let's create an Azure Function app. So I'm just going to go on the Azure portal, run through a quick setup of the Azure Functions. And over here, you can just, it's very similar to the app services that you see on Azure portal itself, because again, Functions was built around the framework of WebJobs SDK. So if you're familiar with those framework, this will not be anything new to this. So I'm going to kind of set up my code on my setup. So I create a virtual environment because all of this code is in Python. And there are a lot of different flavors of languages that you can run with. And I've set up the code, which is now ready to go. Now I'll make a few tweaks in the code itself where I'll say that, okay, what libraries do I need? So I kind of document that. I fix the default code that comes with Azure Functions and just make a few tweaks on the libraries and make sure that the initialization function is set up based on how Azure Function is there. Now, a quick one is, I make sure the libraries are installed, do a quick check, and then I'm good to go. All right. The next one is we are going to kind of look at our deployment. So while the code was being deployed, we also kind of pushed in the code to see how it was running. And now whatever code that we wrote through Azure Functions is now available here for us to kind of work through, right? So now I'm just going to get my default keys. That's something that I'm going to use for doing this classification. And once that is there, now you have an API because we did it as an HTTP request. You have bindings that you can kind of link in within your applications and get it going. So this is one of the simple one. The first time you do it, it's going to take a while because it's going to start from a cold. But subsequently, when you keep doing that, the code is going to run much, much faster and going to scale up based on the number of requests that you get. In the next slide, I've kind of given you some barcodes, which are some of the pre-coded requests for APIs that you can try out. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to take it. Feel free to kind of use some of these codes to test out the application in real time. Within a couple of seconds, you should be able to see the response coming in from that API, whether this is a bald eagle or a golden eagle. Right? If you have tried it out, I would invite you to join our community. Saktish in my previous session spoke a lot about this community. We do a lot of these hands-on sessions. We make sure that you are up to date on the state of the art available from Microsoft, not only through their offerings that are there on Azure AI, but also some of the open source material that has been there. We typically do a lot of experimentations, going through the concepts, and again, a lot of practical applications rather than, hey, here's a mock one. So feel free to join us in that event, and I hope to see some of you back there. We often also, when we do these sessions, they are also broadcasted. So no matter where you are in the region or the world, you still be able to kind of join and participate within our forum. Thank you all.